What is up, maniacs? Welcome back to Sound and Pound. It is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, officially UFC 300 fight week. Alex, we have made it. You made it home just in time for the show from some PFL stuff. Get that out of here. We're talking UFC 300. Well, I mean, I'm curious to know what you did. So give us some spoilers. How was that? And then how excited are you? We're finally fucking here this week.
We've made it. We made it. We trudged through some sludge for months now, and we're fucking finally here. I'm so happy. It's a fucking banging card, best card the UFC's ever put together, and and then just the PFL. I just talked with some talked with some of the fighters because I won't be at the PFL media day tomorrow because we have 28 fighters at media day tomorrow. But you know it sucks because like this PFL card is actually kind of good. Like it's a very fun card with good names and their light heavyweight division this year is very fun. But no one cares because it is UFC 300 week.
I know it's kind of a bummer, right? In that regard. I was talking about this last week when I was there with some people, and it's like, well, what are you gonna do? You know, if that's just timing, sorry. At least not on the same day, which is a smart move. But like, there's just nothing you can do in that regard.
I
So.
think like if it was an Apex card and PFL was here, I think they would get some of that, like
Oh yeah.
trickle effect. But bro, UFC 300, the biggest card, and ain't happening.
Not this week. Sorry about that, PFL. And I'm sure that you will say the card got better with Phil Davis falling off of it, but we don't need to get into that. Like 1,000%.
1000%.
Yeah. So, my goodness, you guys, a whole lot to get into and unpack. Of course, with this week, we're going to be focusing solely on UFC 300, not doing our segments this week, just kind of break down things as whatever direction we want. Of course, please, please, please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Let us know what specifically you want to talk about. Chime in. We'll hit the points along the way. And if there's kind of any, I guess, obscure random questions or whatnot, we'll get those at the end like we normally do. But for the most part, we'll go along with you guys here, let you drive us a little bit. But to kick off today, and then of course movie club we still got to do, assuming you did watch, Alex. Okay,
Did.
awesome. So did I did as well, so we'll still be doing that. As I think Rain, one of our boys, one of our frequents, also wants to get in on it, so that's fun. But yes, you guys of course follow us, MMA Mania, all that good stuff. Drake Riggs, Alex Vahunin. So let's kick things off with our podcast question of the day, which we have over on mmania.com every Tuesday. And that is, I was having trouble thinking of the question of the day for this one, Alex, because it's like there's so many different, of course, things you could focus on. And I mean, the easy one is like, is this the biggest card ever? And, I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit, but that was too easy. So I figured we'd go with who is the most likely to score the upset this weekend, because there's a lot of good potential for that. And there's a lot of good sized dogs. So, in your mind, out of all the options, who would we go with in that regard? And we'll let you guys play along too. If you haven't heard the question, let us know in the comments.
Man, it's I mean, I think it's Holly Holm. And I say that because I'm predicting Kayla to win, but Holly Holm she has good takedown defense. She has all of the experience in the world, and she's just tough to beat, right? For Kayla, first time at bantamweight, UFC jitters, the biggest platform she's ever been on, probably the biggest card she'll ever be on.
Right.
It's like there's a lot of going against her, and there's always a thing like Holly Holm's by far the best fighter she's ever, by far, not even fucking close. So there's just so many questions. So I think if you're going to put some money on a dog, I think it's Holly Holm.
Yeah, I think, man, looking out of them here, and I should probably pull up if we're going to do specific odds talks right here, what specifically is which. But I think, yeah, out of everybody, well, let's see. I'm pulling them up here now. Let's see. We got Moicano, Garbrandt, Marina Rodriguez. I like Marina's chances in that one.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's a
Jim
perfect
Miller.
matchup for her.
Yeah, there's so many good choices. I like the Holly one though for all the factors you mentioned. I do want to say we should get you some disrespect to Larissa Pacheco. She's come a long way, but yes, still 1-2, right? 1-2 in the head to
I
head.
mean, I mean, really?
Hey, Larissa would beat Holly. I believe that. I believe she'd beat her at this point. But
Yeah.
all right. But yeah, no, I think fair point. There's still so many unknowns and question marks around Kayla. Um, and we've seen, of course, judo style against Holly before. I don't at all. I said this yesterday on my personal channel that I don't think it's gonna. Kayla just doesn't fight the same way as Ronda, right? Like there's only similarity really is the fact that they're judokas and two of the best of all time in that regard. That's about it, right? Like they are incredibly different fighters in all aspects, and Kayla is way more patient with her approach compared to Ronda, who is one of the most aggressive kind of fighters of the past decade for sure. So just for Holly and her veteran savvy, I think that is a big thing to look at. And as I was saying to Pat too when we were talking, like the one of the bigger question marks in the fight specifically for me, Alex, is like I think that we've seen kind of since I want to say the Misha fight for Holly, right? That she's worked on her grappling a whole lot defensively and offensively, but she's gotten more comfortable there. Like she's willing to play there with anybody. We've seen it like against Ketlin, against Bueno Silva, it didn't work out there, but like Rocky, she's willing to go to those spots more often than she once was, where she was like full distance mode, right? Full, kind of kickboxing style, which is when she's at her best. So she should totally try and do that here because she doesn't want to go to the ground. I
1000%. And she goes down. She goes to the ground with Kayla. Kayla's not going to just gonna sit in her guard, right? Like Kayla's going to go and try and fucking finish you.
We get
And
elbows, Kayla.
she gets elbows. You got elbows. You got elbows.
Yeah. So I think that is definitely a very good pick. And what Kayla is like a pretty big dog too, right? Or a favorite, excuse me. Let me see what the exact line is on her.
Minus 425. Home is a plus 330 dog,
That's
which
pretty wild, man.
it's kind of disrespectful to Holly, but on the flip side, like it's kind of I mean it's kind of warranted in a sense. Like Kayla is a super freak athlete,
Mm-hmm.
but then again, like it's Holly Holm. Like say what you want. She might not be the funnest fighter to watch anymore, but she's tough. She's tough.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let me see here. Okay, I was trying to see if Sterling was the underdog or not because I do think he can pull that one off. Man, I don't want to just agree with you and take that, but I think probably the best choice. Well,
I will throw out Max Holloway. I do think he has a really good chance.
mhm.
To beat Justin just because, Justin gets hit a lot and Max comes forward. I think it's just going to be a 5-round war. And I think it's just going to be a 5-round close war, to be honest with you. But if there is going to be one finish, I think Justin's going to be the one to finish Max. But I don't know.
Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for it, man. But okay, actually, I think this might be the correct answer. I'll give Holly a second choice, but the odds on depends on which book you're looking at here. But Oliveira and Saryukin, they're both either one, depending where you're putting your odds. I'm looking at right now on All Best Fight Odds, which shows like all of them, right? Because I think either of those guys, I can very easily see winning, and make for a great case to be an underdog. So I'm going to go with that one. That just depends on where you're looking in terms of the sports books again, but gonna be good. Gonna be a good old time. So before we roll more down, let's get to some of these comments and questions and whatnot. You guys, good to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. All 283 of you at this exact moment. James says, I don't get why Drake doesn't agree with the statement that Weili can come in at her worst and still beat Zhao Nan. I truly believe that Weili the Whaley that almost lost to Danielle Taylor and lost to Rose the first time would still beat Xiaonan. I definitely disagree with that. Come on, man. Did you say at her best too? Yeah, no, he
Fucking
didn't. He didn't say that.
James is spitting.
I know, spitting right out the gate. Xiaonan doesn't deserve any of my respect when Whaley runs through her. I will make it known. Okay, well, and he thinks she's been talking trash, dude. We talked about this yesterday, but like, it's not. I guess especially comparatively, but I don't really know what to say to that. I mean, do you? How about you, Alex? I already addressed this yesterday, but that Whaley could beat Xiaonan at her worst. No, come on. I think that's ridiculous.
I mean, I think, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't think Jan's that good, to be honest with you. And I just, yeah, I don't think she offers anything to Whaley, to be honest with you. I think Whaley is going to have her, it's going to just dominate her, probably finish her. Yeah.
Jeez.
So
I mean,
the only thing that sucks is this fight's not in China. Like, how do you blow that up? Like, whatever.
yeah, that's been a big reoccurring story. But I did say also like in the off chance that Xiaonan pulls it off, rematch is massive, and that has to be no exceptions. What, August, right? I mean, is that too soon if it were to play out that way? That would be perfect. That's the date, right? They're thinking August for Shanghai.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be, craziest case scenario. I'm not going to hold my breath on. Obviously, we got to get past this first. But either way, winner of this fight should fight there. I think that'd be great. Have them defend the title. If we're going to go down that road, that makes way too much sense. But yeah, I mean, if I think of the worst Whaley isn't the grappler that she is and has been knocked out by Rose. So fuck out of here with that. I'm going to lay it back at you, James. All right, let's move on for now. Rio says, as you guys know, I don't like Dern, but Brandon Olivas, who dated Tabitha Ricci, has sparring footage of Dern getting taken down and not being able to sweep or submit from her back. In the Xiaonan fight, Dern was able to pull guard and climb up on top of Xiaonan. That's really bad for Xiaonan in general, since Dern could not fight off her back in sparring. This is just more evidence that Whaley should win this easy. Sure, I mean, that is training. and I feel like you guys aren't coming at me directly, but I'm not disagreeing. I've said Whaley will win this fight. Like, I love them both. I do. And I just wanted to be I want it to be a classic, which you should want every single fight to be, really. Unless, of course, you're a fan and those certain respects.
Unfortunately, this ain't gonna be a classic, bro. It's gonna be a classic.
You never know. You never know. Holding out hope for 300. Rainiel Yurge, good to see you. Thank you. Sounds like a new name. Is Sodiq Yusuff versus Lopez and Moicano versus Turner potential fight of the night? So let's talk about these ones, Alex. Let's give some love to the prelims, as Rainiel asking here. I feel better case for that with Moicano. I don't know. They both have. I think they could steal the show for sure. Those are good ones.
I think Moicano Turner. I think Jalen stops Moicano first round. Yeah, it's just a bad matchup, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yusuf versus Lopez, 1000%. It's the ranked opponent for Diego. He's been 3 fights in the UFC. Obviously, must watch television. And Sadiq's tough, man. And I think people were kind of down on him because of that Edson Barbosa loss. But, he was beating Edson's ass until he wasn't, So, yeah, I really like that fight. And I don't know who I'm picking in that one yet. But I do think Jalen Turner kind of wipes the floor with Moicano, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that one. And then for Sodiq and Diego, I feel like that one really comes down to how much grappling success Diego has. Right? Is that pretty safe?
Yeah, for sure. But Diego's hands are getting better. That's the crazy. He's leveling up. He's leveling up pretty fast. And I mean, he's always had sneaky good hands. But his jiu-jitsu is just so far superior to a lot of people. So he just relies on that.
Trains the champ. I mean, he's a coach as well. So
yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get pick rundowns here at the end of the show. Let's do that, Alex. Let's have fun with it towards the end. We'll pick every fight here. But I mean, we just gave our prediction for the Turner one, so there's that. All right, let's just get right into the main event here. Perfectly at the 15-minute mark as Gunther sets us up. Can Jamal Hill win? I saw Miguel Class post his footwork, and it was really bad. So let's talk about it. Can Jamal Hill win, Alex? What are the final feels on this one? Obviously, Jamal Hill, not a guy short on any confidence whatsoever. I argue he might be overconfident in a lot of situations, but he really hasn't been proven wrong yet. Is the thing. Like I said it earlier today on BTL, but he's a guy I'm still doubting. I have doubted him pretty much his whole run, but he pulls it off. Like he's got something about him where he doesn't feel proven yet. I don't know what it is. Like he's performed really well in these fights too. There's no reason not to really believe in him, but most people don't. And I don't know if that's more of his opponents than him. I think that might be it, especially someone like Pereira who's done this historically quick feat that he has by becoming a champion in 2 weight classes. Still really weird for me to even say that. And being just as deadly of a striker as he is, like, it's very winnable for Jamal. It's just,
I think a lot of it is he's annoying online, so people are like taking that and can't separate the online
kind of like
persona.
prime Colby a little bit.
Yeah, 1000%, 1000%. This fight's interesting because I do believe Jamal has way more ways to beat Alex Pereira. I don't see Alex Pereira taking Jamal Hill down and holding him there or submitting him, where Jamal can do that, and he has pretty good grappling if needed. The only thing is, like, I think these two are just gonna brawl, and whoever lands. And Alex gets hit, man, and like that's the thing that like I was worried about against Yuri is Yuri hits fucking hard, and he cracked Alex a couple times, and I just don't think Alex has the best chin anymore.
I mean, guys been fighting for a long time, multiple sports.
1000%, man, and he's older, right? It's no joke. He's older, so like. That's the thing is Jamal has sneaky power, dude. Like he hits hard and he puts guys down. So the thing is like I think obviously Alex is just more technical. And Jamal actually has a chin. Like Jamal shows he's had a chin. He's never been. I don't think he's ever been dropped, and he's never been knocked out. Right? He's only been tapped by Paul Craig. So there's just so much variables. And I'm like, I've been fence writing this. I've been fence writing a lot of these fights for.
Hard not to, really.
It's really, they're so closely matched. And the only thing that like has me like hesitant to put all my money on Jamal Hill is that Achilles injury. And him coming back from an Achilles injury that fast, like it's been less than a year, which is pretty insane for a professional athlete. Especially like in fighting where it's a lot about movement. He likes to box, a lot of footwork. But obviously if he's coming back this soon, he must have full confidence that it's good, because I feel like he's a smart enough fighter and he knows his body enough that like if he wasn't 100%, he probably would sit out some more. So with that being said, man, I'm picking Jamal Hill. I think he knocks Alex out.
Ooh, how soon? Or what round are you feeling? Midway point?
Like late second, early third.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, it is very interesting, right? Because what was it? Somebody here said, oh, it was just Gunther right there asking the question, but saying that he saw the footwork being bad. So it's like, how much with a guy like Jamal, I feel like he's a guy who will show off maybe some footage like that and make it look bad on purpose, right?
Well, I think this guy's talking about Miguel, like zoomed in on his footwork against Glover. Like it's very,
it's from a fight.
Not, okay. It's not beautiful footwork whatsoever.
Yeah.
It is kind of sloppy, but like it works for him. Like I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing is too, that Alex is gonna kick that leg. He's gonna. Why wouldn't you? Like he's got some thumping leg kicks. Yeah, man. It's like when I imagine this fight and kind of Jamal's been talking a whole bunch about how confident he is, he'll knock him out, all that, and it makes me kind of fear for him, like a Strickland type of repeat with Pereira. I don't necessarily look at seeing it look like the exact same because he doesn't really fight like Strickland, obviously, but something similar where Strickland fights very stupidly against, Pereira. Don't fight that way, and tries to strike with him, and then gets busted up. I think we'll see some, good clinch exchanges. Jamal will try to use his not size advantage or disadvantage. I think they're probably going to be pretty similarly sized, but he'll use his physicality in tight, which would be smart. And yeah, again, like you said, he has more ways to win the fight, but I just think Alex is just as dangerous as he's proven to be. I kind of doubted this guy a bit too on the way up, and then he started knocking out these guys I didn't really want him to. I'm still bummed that he beat my boy Yuri and whatnot, but yeah, I think if Jamal doesn't mix it up, he's gonna get cracked first. It'll come down to who gets cracked first, right? So and then just with the versatility of kind of strikes again that Pereira will throw at him. Plus the studying that they'll have done too from having fought Glover. Like there's a lot of different like interesting elements to it, but I'm on the other side of the fence with that one. So it's gonna be interesting. Ferdaz says, I saw the new gloves. They're great. All right, so getting some inside information here from the man himself. UFC 300 fights will have the same usual gloves. The new gloves won't be implemented until about June. All right, so there's a little scoop ski for us, everybody. I will trust his word for it. Have you seen the new gloves yet, Alex?
I have not.
Have you heard anything specific? I know there's been some chats at our DMs.
No, actually, I haven't. I just knew that new gloves were coming. I don't know what they are, what they look like.
Why wouldn't they just do them now? What's the point of this? Why wait? Unless it's like a deal, right?
It could be that like new gloves, the biggest pay-per-view they're putting on. Maybe not any fuck ups or.
Watch, we have a bunch of eye pokes now because they put this out here like, wait, it's gonna get better. Not yet, though.
Yeah, like the main, co-main, and featured fight all have eye pokes that like ruin fights.
Yeah, of course. Cornelius Graythorn asking, what's the best way to watch UFC 300? I have purchased pay-per-views in the past, and they seem to have technical issues. More technical issue than the not so illegal streams. I don't know what the explanation.
I don't know what illegal streams are. You have to buy this thing.
Yeah, what is that? You gotta buy it. It's only ESPN Plus. It's the only place you can watch. But I know that some people have issues. Like I'm trying to think. Sometimes with my streams, it seems more on like just regular fight nights. It'll kind of maybe skip back a little bit, a couple seconds every now and then. But I feel like, I don't know. That really is dependent on your connection for the most part. I mean, I know I've been to your house when you've had some issues, Alex, like with Amazon and stuff, but I don't know. Do you have much ESPN Plus issues?
Not really, no. I've ESPN works pretty well for me. Surprisingly, it was just like on the cruise ship that was kind of buffering a little bit, but like, yeah, I don't really have bad problems with ESPN Plus for the most part.
Right. And then, you always have the Buffalo Wild Wings or kind of bar type options there, Cornelius, which I think those are pretty fun if you're like with friends or, you want an atmosphere without being at the fights. Going to a bar or something is always a good time. Just depends how you want to watch, really, but that's always a thing. Synchro says, I can tell you who won't be the underdog that will win. Yeah, Xiaonan, at least we'll masterclass over. All right. Okay, they were answering the question. It won't be Xiaonan. We'll make this simple analysis. Yeah. Octagon Updates is here. Says that takedown. Not sure which one you're talking about. James has gained 1,000% respect from Alex for the shout on takes, which again, I'm not disagreeing with you guys. I'm just saying I want it to be a fun, good fight. Everyone should want that. But Jersey Lee, all right, awesome, man. Have fun at the show. I think I remember you saying that. Yeah, a perfect one to go to. Oh, you were telling us about the nosebleeds being very expensive, which, yeah, I understand. Okay, well, let's move along to as we're getting kind of some other random comments here. Alex, let's talk about the BMF title fight, shall we? Shall we talk about Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway? Woo! The fight we're all most looking forward to, right? I mean, this is one of the best fights imaginable on paper. Gonna be so good. But really, the question is, are you expecting the same type of lightweight max as we saw the last time?
Yeah,
That's the question with this one.
I've been saying this since the fight has been booked, and I think people were just like that have is like recency bias. They don't remember the fight. Like Dustin Poirier did not beat the the
No,
size.
it was a very strong start, and everyone kind of
1,000, yeah, like one thousand
forgot.
percent. Like it was not a one sided beatdown by Dustin Poirier. Like, and he didn't look like. I mean, he was bigger than Max, but like not like it wasn't like. It just you didn't look at the two and be like, oh my god, that's a fucking lightweight, that's a featherweight. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Right.
wasn't as crazy as people think, and like so I think this fight's very competitive, bro. Like I do, and obviously Justin Gaethje has power, and maybe he's the one that finally cracks Max's chin. But if he doesn't, Max is going to outvolume Justin Gaethje. I think. I'm predicting he's gonna land more than Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
The more damaging shots are probably going to come from Justin Gaethje, right? So that's like
Perfectly said.
I think it's just going to come down to like this. It's going to like I think it's going to be a very close fight, and people are going to be like, "Well, striking, it's going to be like Max outlanded him 100 by 100 strikes, but Justin has them way like look at Max's face." You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to come down to like
DDP all over again.
yeah, 1,000%. It's going to be one of those fights. I know. I just know it, bro. So yeah, and you know, but like I said earlier, if there's going to be a finish in this fight, Justin's going to knock Max out or something. You know, like maybe not knock him out, maybe drop him and jump on him. Who knows? But I think it's a much closer fight than people are like saying like Max is going to get blown out of the water or something. And
Yeah.
and the odds really reflect it. So
Totally. And it's kind of, I mean, I get it because of the weight difference and all, but it is just kind of funny to think that like, all right, the most likely knockout situation will be Holloway getting knocked out. It's like this guy doesn't get hurt. This guy is made out of adamantium or something,
yeah,
but we're expecting him over the other guy who we have seen knocked out and rocked millions of times. He's just a freak show. Like I think there's a very good possibility that lightweight Max Holloway could knock out Justin Gaethje. I'm not quite predicting that either because he's not as crazy as he used to be. But like, think about it. I mean,
yeah.
if Max's chin is going to crack at any point, this is probably it. But again, I think the weight will help him be better in that regard, and he's had so much more time compared to last time. Big factor. But I think the real X factor of this fight, in terms of the fight specifically itself, is going to be those Justin Gaethje leg kicks, Alex. Those chef's kiss bad boys, which we've seen hurt people numerous times. Just a single one from Gaethje will put you in trouble. And we've seen Max Holloway have leg kick issues in the past, particularly Alexander Volkanovski utilizing them brilliantly against him throughout pretty much their entire trilogy. But that is something that Max Holloway will desperately need to, avoid early on, stifle if he can, because I don't know, Alex, if I can think of, Aldo comes to mind and those great leg kickers, but a guy whose leg kicks accumulate and add up quicker than Gaethje's in history, man. Like, think about like that.
It's Gaethje, Chris Gutierrez, and Jonathan Martinez. Like those are the three. Like right now, like fucking dude, those guys are just different.
Yeah. But it's like I remember back to the first like Poirier fight, when Gaethje was starting to get him off, and Dustin was like, "All right, this has to stop," like real fast, and ended up working out for him. But I think Holloway can recognize that, especially if the damage piles up as quickly as it does. But oh man, I'm so excited for it. I hope we get like one of those classic Lamas moments, Lamas UFC 199. We're like, all right, let's just fucking go, man. There's so many different possibilities that don't involve grappling, which is just funny to think about. But when you have such a guarantee of, the fireworks on the feet to come at you, I think I do think Holloway's going to do just fine. Overall, he's not going to go out there, get starched or anything crazy like some people have predicted when the fight was announced. I think the tune has changed a lot as they've kind of seen his preparation and how big he is actually looking.
Yeah, and he looks like I feel like he was getting bored at featherweight, right? Like, and I think this is one of those fights that like excites you, gets you ready, and like probably scares him a little bit, right? Like,
yeah,
just even if fight doesn't get you,
yeah,
bro. Like,
yeah. Well, and I mean, think about the reward of winning for him too,
yeah,
dude. Like he can do whatever the fuck he wants, anything that he wants.
yeah.
Lightweight title, featherweight title, defend the BMF title. Bro. He's got 3 ready options to go.
That's a good
Like
point. Very good point.
it's he almost reaches God mode to an extent there. It's kind of insane. So yeah, I fight's going to be absolutely awesome. I think it will be a war until somebody crumbles. And the safe pick there, I think, is Justin Gaethje, because I do think the leg kicks will slow down Holloway as the fight goes on for sure, and he'll get caught. Maybe kind of think similar to like Poirier McGregor too, which that was pretty much the story of that one. It just except over a prolonged time and more action packed and chaotic. So and this is kind of dream scenario too, right? But like, 5th round stoppage for Gaethje is kind of what I'm thinking there. So, man, this is just one of those fights where, I'm so happy I can feel the excitement again, like that energy just with even thinking of it. So it's going to be awesome. But Cornelius says, I watched Blaine Henry. Shout out to him, former coworker, a great guy. Analysis from Blaine Henry and Ghost shared some analysis. He mentions how Alex Pereira uses non-telegraphic calf kick and a good body jab. Who has the advantages when the exchanges become long, though? Is it Alex Pereira's hook or Hill's overhand? I mean, that hook is one of the deadliest goddamn weapons in the sport, Alex, right? Like,
Scary.
between those punches, I'm very curious. I haven't seen the tail of the tape yet, but do you know? Do you have any idea who's got the longer reach here? I feel like it's got to be pretty close between
I
these
will
two.
get that right now.
Let's see, I might beat you.
Let's see. Reach. Alex Pereira is a 1 inch
Pretty
bigger
much the
reach.
same. Okay.
Yeah. Both 6'4", 80 inch reach to a 79 inch reach.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I figured, and they're both about 6'3" ish, right? So they're
6'4".
6'4". Yeah. I mean, pretty identical in the metrics there, but I can't go against that hook. Like, yeah, Jamal got a good overhand, but that hook is that thing hits different, if you will. Huang Zhang says, can Alex do humanizing athletes on Zhang Weili? She only done one Migu interview this week, and it was good. I'm sure it was, but
And
Alex said he
that's
tried.
and that's why I can't do it. She doesn't do any media. She doesn't have a manager, so they're like, you can't get a hold of her. She's that golden goose that I just can't
Yeah.
get, bro.
Yeah, she's become impossible to get, which is unfortunate. I would love to talk with her again. It's been a while, but yeah, one day,
One day.
just catch her on media day off to the side, corner her, and yeah, I mean, maybe you can meet Ghost. My take from the Amigo class video: Hill will probably get angry at it. Yes, I'm sure he will. Okay, here's a good question though. Ray Neal, sticking with the Holloway Gaethje, does this fight even need a BMF title attached to it? Also, 3 rounds should allow both of them to empty the tank, like Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. Pretty decent point there, but I'm not gonna be upset about 2 extra rounds, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, I just understand where you're coming from, but I feel like this is a big enough fight that like it needs 5 rounds. Like this would be a main event on any other card, right? So like
Easy.
so yeah, it needs the 5 rounds.
Yeah, the BMF part, that's just more of kind of I would say probably their excuse to make it 5 with being behind 2 title fights, because they've obviously started doing more 5-round co-mains, non-titles. So if it if there wasn't a title fight, putting it into that spot without the BMF could have easily been attainable. But I think it's just for the whole spectacle of it to kind of add it in here and make it a defense and maybe an excuse for the 5 rounds. And I mean, we should kind of want that because it means they get paid more. So that's
Also it's an excuse to say that there's 3 title fights on UFC 300.
yeah, exactly, because it's not a real title. So there's that. Rio says for Max Holloway, he has to hit the body if he wants a chance. That's a fantastic point, working Gaethje's body. I've seen Gaethje get winded in the Oliveira fight, get winded by body shots early. Yeah, I mean, that would be certainly a smart path, and I expect him to definitely kind of go low there and rip those when he can. One of the things with Gaethje, man, this has been, I think this is something we should probably start talking about sooner rather than later, and it is later actually, but here we're at a point now where a guy like Max Holloway can exploit this. But think about this, Alex. Justin Gaethje's entire career, he's done this thing defensively where he ducks and covers a lot, right? Like he goes very low to kind of avoid certain things, which opens him up to plenty of knees, nicely timed head kicks if somebody visualizes or kind of catches onto that, recognizes the pattern. Somebody like Max Holloway, I think, is smart enough to kind of notice this. No one has really. Poirier got very, very close to landing some strikes, if you noticed, in counter of that in the last fight. And I was like, geez, he's going to, like, it felt like he was going to get hit by one if Gaethje didn't get that head kick in the second round. Like, it was coming. So if Max can really notice that, especially from this last fight, and kind of throw those off of his punching combinations, because that will get Gaethje then to duck and do what he does by covering up that way, going low. That might be a recipe to success, man, to find that knockout. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, for sure. It's a very good like just good little
observation.
Yeah, thing to have in the back of your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So fun one to watch for. Jimmy says, I've seen this narrative on MMA betting community, but why are they saying Xiaonan has better striking than Weili? Did they already forget how good Weili's striking is? I don't know what to say. Like, I just, in terms, you kind of throw me off with the betting perspective there of it, Jimmy. I think that maybe is just hopeful, and I mean that's Xiaonan's best, only path to victory in the fight is to land the knockout at some point, kind of Hail Mary style. But no, that's what she's best at. She's not better than Weili there, but yeah. So we mentioned Charles Oliveira. Let's talk about that one a little bit, Alex, since that fight is, I mean, pretty coin flippy for me, as the odds reflected, right?
I think I have a read on this fight, bro.
Let's hear it.
I hate to say it. I think Armin's gonna crack Charles Oliveira in the first round and go down with him and do the same thing Islam did and jump on him and pound him out or tap him. That was the one thing. I think this isn't an original thought, but what Chandler, Dustin, and Gaethje did when they cracked and dropped Charles, they did not go to the ground with him.
Yeah.
When Islam cracked him, he went to the ground and finished him. Armin's not going to be afraid of Charles's ground game. So I think it's going to be very similar to the Islam fight. I think Armin cracks him, follows him down there, and finishes him first round.
That is a good point. And while you were saying that, I was thinking of kind of the Chandler fight, and he did end up on the ground with him, but that was after kind of getting backpacked, and he was kind of working his way to escape at the end of the first round, if you remember. So that is a really good point. Yeah, Armin definitely will not be afraid. And I mean, God, technically the guy is very, very sharp. Doesn't throw anything that he doesn't think is going to land. Like, no wasted energy with the guy. Not that Oliveira really is either, but fuck, like when I think about this fight too, it is so good. And like, that is the problem, and sometimes not the problem, right? Because I was going to say Oliveira's chin, getting him hurt like that, but then it pays off depending how his opponent approaches it, right? As you just mentioned, if people can, hurt him that way and then use it to their advantage rather than being baited in, because I still think he was probably playing possum with that Gaethje uppercut, right? You remember that? It looked pretty half and half, man.
I don't know, bro.
It was a clean one, but I don't know. The way he went down, I always feel like he did that on purpose, which you can get away with. I'm sure it hurt for sure, but I don't think he was like too fucked up.
True. Okay, great point.
Yeah, great momentum that Armin has right now. Charles wants the belt again. Like, I think Armin probably a little bit hungrier, more to prove still. Of course, I mean, this is the biggest fight of his career. lot of similarities though to the Islam one. I just, man, it's I think that until I see it happen again, I gotta ride with Charlie Olives. I gotta believe, the guy is just so dangerous everywhere. His combinations have gotten so just sexy violent on his recent half of his career. That yeah, until it happens again, I'm gonna stick with him here. And it feels hard to imagine him finishing Armin though, right? Like that seems as
Yeah, it's
dangerous
not.
as he is. It's just because we haven't seen Armin really hurt
I
that
will
bad.
say this too: is like I was doubting Charles against Benil too. Like I thought Benil was going to have the kind of the same success, and Charles went in there and shut everybody up again, and was like, "I'm still that guy." I just think like Armin's different, man. He's this new breed, and I don't know. I just I just seen too many things, and I just feel like it's going to go very similar to the Islam fight.
Yeah, very fair, very fair. Well, I think I'll believe he'll find the finish. I'm gonna say third round submission. He'll catch him in something. I'm believing in Olives.
Fight does not go the distance.
Yeah, no. I'm predicting a lot of finishes on this card. Synchro says Max Holloway was able to head kick Volk when Volk ducks in the second fight. Great point. Maybe he can do it. Yeah. Tom said Dustin dips a lot. He does, man. Like it's one of those things that kind of gets lost in the chaos of his fights, but the way that he kind of defends and moves out of exchanges sometimes, it's something, obviously I've noticed as I pointed out there, but that stuff catches up to you. And trust me, that's coming from a Dominic Cruz fan. I'm saying that right now. It's going to catch up, Justin. Change while you can. Save your nose. Fuck. Now I'm sad. It's a great comparison, though.
Yeah.
It's a perfect.
Yeah, 1,000%.
His ghost says, I don't have a read on Oliveira versus Armin. I just want to see chaos. Yeah, I mean, I think it has potential to be pretty insane, awesome back and forth. I feel like it's one of those things where somebody's running over the other guy, or it's going to be madness, right? Like no real in between with those two. But the day after for me, since I have only one fight I'm focused on, that needs my full attention. Unfortunately, since the card is sensational. Yeah, you're missing out a little bit there, Ghost, in that regard. But Gunther says Charles Oliveira's path to the title. He's already fought both Justin and Max. So this is a good question too, Alex, because
that there's one after him too. That says who would Armin fight after this? Whoever wins this fight is fighting Islam. That's it. And if they want to turn around and fight Islam in June, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be entirely up to the winner of this fight if they want that Islam fight in June.
Interesting. So you're pretty confident on that, huh? What's the reasoning? Why not? Because I think, and we talked about some BTL too, but it seems like such a business-wise no-brainer to go with. Obviously, again, Holloway will have way more options. Probably go back down to featherweight just because of the landscape. But I mean, he's got that option if he really wants to push for it. Then Gaethje, though, defending BMF champ, like I don't see how they wouldn't want that one instead.
Those guys aren't going to turn around and fight in 60
days. In that timing, that timing.
Because Islam's fighting in June, I can tell you that.
Okay,
so it's going to be if Armin and Charles want to turn around and do that,
then Poirier.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah, that's true because. Yeah, Gaethje pretty much already said he's probably not going to do that.
Well, Gaethje needs 3 to 6 months after every fight anyway, so Gaethje's out of the equation. Max is a badass. He might turn around and fight Islam, but
I fucking love that. Imagine how sick that would be, dude.
Yeah, but
Gaethje
yeah. So it's entirely up to the winners of this week if they want to fight Islam. It's on the table.
Who do you think was more likely to do that? I feel like it's kind of a toss-up. I could think Armin would pretty easily. I don't know.
I think Armin would. I think he's been wanting that title shot so bad that like he'd probably do it. But then again, like, do you want to fight Islam on 60 days notice? Like,
yeah, that's kind of the thing is just the preparation time for that fight, and then coming out of depending how your fight goes too, like how
Right, 1000%.
crazy that it
But
is.
that's what I think. I think this fight ends in the first round. So I think whoever gets it done, I don't think they're going to come out with a whole lot of damage. So
Right.
yeah, so it's a very interesting storyline to keep an eye on.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And Ghost says, you know what I think Armin versus Oliveira will be like? Oliveira versus Lee, cool scrambles and great pressure fighting. Yeah, that was a pretty underrated good fight if you guys remember that one. What right at the beginning of the pandemic, if my memory serves me right. So the last show before UFC went on a little shutdown, as we all did. Good one there. Cornelia says, I think a fight everyone would love would be Armin versus Justin. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Or Armin versus Dustin. Be both good. So Saryukin can finally get another crack at the top of the division. Yeah, I mean, he's at the point now. He's hanging around. He'll fight these guys going forward. So that will be fun when they do happen. So Rio asking, does Ramadan affect Islam Makhachev's fight schedule? Yes, that's pretty much the reason he's not on 300, aside from there were kind of injury rumors, but it seemed more Ramadan related. But that will be over, I believe, like next week or whatever. So yeah,
I think it's over,
or like the day after, like really soon.
I think it's the day before. I think it's like 2 days or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, there is that. But all right, got caught up on the comments here. Alex, let's give some love now to the prelims. You know, we won't run down specifics of every single one, but I guess how about which prelim fight? Let's maniacal moment style it. Let's do which one tickles the fancy the most? Which one fascinates you the most? Which one of all these bangers are you liking the most?
Man, I think it's Cater versus Sterling. I have the most questions on Holm versus Harrison. Obviously, we already talked about that. Bobby Green versus Jim Miller is like a hardcore fight for me just because they've been scheduled 3 times.
Right.
It's like 10 years in the making. Cody Garbrandt versus Figgy is a very like
Also been booked before.
Yeah, it's very intriguing. It's does Cody's chin hang up? Who knows? So I think it's Sterling versus Cater, and then obviously there's Yuri versus Rakic. But I think Alexander Rakic is going to make this fight boring. I think he's going to try and take Yuri down the entire time.
Impossible. A Yuri fight? No.
I think that if there's one person that can try and make it boring as fuck, it's that guy. And yeah, so it sucks. But I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Alexander Rakic is like, oh, it's UFC 300. Let's just make this thing fight. Let's just make this very exciting. So yeah, Cater versus Sterling, man. You know, Calvin Cater coming off basically a 2-year layoff. Aljamain Sterling first fight at featherweight. Man, it's crazy because Calvin Cater is, I think stats wise, like I think it's top 3. It's like top 5 best takedown defense. Might be in the entire UFC, but I know for sure in the featherweight division. So like he has very good takedown defense. And so if Aljamain can't take him down, how does Aljamain win? Right.
Well, that was kind of the thing. Do you remember we were talking about when this fight was made a little bit was Calvin Cater really hasn't been put up against too many wrestlers who, I mean, you know, like Josh Emmett has a wrestling base, but a guy who is pretty wrestling heavier, you can expect that from. He hasn't been tested necessarily in that way. Off the top of my head, let me double check to be sure. But compared to Sterling, right? Like
maybe Moicano, but I don't remember that fight, to be honest with you.
No, that was yeah. That was a weird one because he got I do remember it. It was kind of he got pieced up a little bit in that one. It wasn't like a grappling heavy fight at all. Ricardo Lamas, that one wasn't very long though. Even then he didn't try to none of these guys he's fought have tried to take him down or will try to take him down the way that Sterling will, right? Like that's the thing. So that's what makes it super fascinating. And again, the layoff. And as you mentioned with Rakic, we got 2 of these guys coming off of these long layoffs. And the thing is with kind of that fight, and I think for me, just by default, it's gotta be Yuri versus Rakic, just because man, Yuri coming off the loss too. And I mean, always been one of my favorites, a deliverer of violence, whether he is winning or losing, which he hasn't lost very much, right? But right when you said Rack is trying to make it boring, my mind just went completely back to some of his Ryzen fights where, he's taken on, was it Brandon? It was Halsey or Gertz. Let me see whichever one that was from Bellator. I want to be sure. It was Brandon Halsey, but like he was trying to really wrestle Yuri and he had some success. And it was kind of one of those weird ones. I don't know if you ever saw that fight, but like where where Yuri was doing kind of the head bob defense from like rear naked chokes, where Halsey had his back and like he was really doing a pretty good job at holding Yuri, but he wasn't being effective or doing anything with it. So like when Yuri's stuck in those spots, we've seen this against Glover too. Like he's always just very active doing things and trying to do his weird Yuri weirdness whenever he can. So in this fight, coming off of the loss again and kind of the mentality, which is a massive thing for the Samurai
And
man.
he is an underdog plus 100.
That is just so absurd to me, man. Like the disrespect, but also belief in Rakic. Like, yes, Rakic, of course, before his injury, incredible talent, one of the best guys in the division, rightfully so. Has just kind of had, entertainment inconsistencies as of late. But to come off the injury, and I mean, how it's been longer for him than Cater, right? He's been out almost like 2 years, hasn't he? We were looking at this too recently, I remember, but
see, Cater was October 2022.
then May for Rakic, yeah. So had him beat by a good couple months there. So like that's wild to say the guy coming back off injury is favored over the former champ. Like, damn,
that's crazy. Yeah,
that is. Well, I think I might just change my underdog answer there for sure. Because the thing with this matchup too, Alex, is you're gonna have to. I don't think that Rakic can coast his way to a 3-round victory. He'll get stopped before that. If he doesn't put away Yuri, he's getting put away. Like he hasn't got a finish since that Jimmy Manuwa won the head kick in 2019, which Jimmy Manuwa never, ever has had the best chin. Before that, Devin Clark, again, not even one of the best light heavyweights. No offense there, but he really hasn't finished, a legitimate top guy. Like this has not happened in Rakic's career. So competition wise, we're going to play that game and the layoff, all these elements. I feel pretty solid about that Yuri underdog spot. And again, I got some slight bias, but that for me easily the one there. But of course, I think we got those under the key, under low key, however you want to say it, bangers there with I am looking forward to Jim Miller, Bobby Green, as you mentioned. Andrade Rodriguez, I am excited for it. How Kayla does, of course, Yusuf Lopez, which we touched on off the top. Figueiredo versus Garbrandt, as long as it lasts, like, which I don't think will be very long, depending. You can't go wrong. That's the thing. That's the thing with this card and the question here. As Jimmy says, Yuri and Rakic are both really bad at defending low kicks. Will this be just Yuri madness, as Ghost likes to call it? Well, I think, again, this depends on how wrestling heavy Rakic wants to go, right? As Alex said, I think maybe we'll get some of that to start. I don't think Rakic is going to go right to wrestling, like instant chael, 10-second takedown, but I'm sure he will engage sooner rather than later. Rio says Santino DeFranco has said on his podcast that Sterling's best ability is boxing into back takes, which is not wrestling. His open space shots are telegraphed. Is Cater good at defending shots in the open space? That is a good thing that he really is at finding your back, especially boxing his way in. And it's a testament, I think, to Sterling's improvements over the years. Because if you remember, Alex, like when he started his UFC career, he was very weird. He was a very weird fighter, where this great wrestler who he kicked way more than he punched. You remember this when he was like,
yeah.
And he still shows signs of it sometimes. He's got hands now, but he really did not to start. So he's come a long way to, have this ability that Rio's mentioning. But Cater is still one of the best boxers in the sport. So I think that is something that's going to be a lot more difficult in this case. He's going to have to set him up a whole lot better than he did in his last fight. So that will be a very interesting little mini chess match within the match, if you will. But yeah, I just always remember like Sterling, there he goes, just kicking. Just kicking. It's very odd. I would love to see the specific stats on what his numbers were, but yes. So Gunther asked, is this card at the T-Mobile Arena? It is indeed. Couldn't be anywhere else. So all right. Well, on that note, Alex, any other specifics we should kind of touch on here before we get movie clubbing? What do you think?
I do think Marina Rodriguez beats Jessica Andrade. I think it's an awful matchup for Jessica. I think Marina just stayed on the outside and picks her apart for 3 rounds.
Yep.
That's a very confident pick for me. And Marina's an underdog. So
yeah. There you go.
But yeah, I just like, dude. It's just such a excellent card because there's storylines in every single fight, stakes in every fight, things that you
just don't get it anymore. You don't get this anymore.
No, you don't. And the one fight we didn't really talk about was Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage is officially now the biggest underdog in UFC history.
Jesus.
What
is he at? What do you got?
Plus 1,100. Plus 1,100.
It was 900 before, I believe, was Shannon Dobson.
Yeah. Plus 1,100, biggest underdog. And Bo is a minus 2,000, 2,100. So I don't know if that's the biggest favorite or not.
Totally is. I remember Agapova was like 18 or 17. 18. So geez.
Yeah, it's crazy. Cody's my boy. He's a friend. It's just an awful matchup for him. And the UFC's, I think we all know what the UFC's doing here. Is there a chance for Cody to knock Bo Nickel out? Absolutely. But the wrestling, like I've seen some conjecture that Cody's wrestling is going to be able to negate Bo Nickel.
Well.
ST Dumas took Cody for 3 rounds. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
It's just that's my TVs on it. Yeah, so it is what it is.
Yeah, if there's one fight that I don't care too much about, it is that one. I mean, I'm excited to see Bo and what happens with him, but
so now that the card's here and it, like, would you have switched, like, put Yuri in that main card spot over Bo Nickel, or do you think Bo Nickel deserves that first spot?
Oh, 1,000,000%. I mean, I get why they're doing it. Because they want to.
But wouldn't you think Bo would get more eyeballs on the last prelim of the night?
Yeah, that's right. In theory, that's the thing. So open with the more exciting fight, or the fight more likely to deliver in that fashion. So it is kind of a weird kind of practice or move there. And that's why when you were gone on vacation that one weekend, I was talking to Pat about it. Like, I was asking him, like, do you think there's any way that Bo actually negotiated into his contract that he's only a main card fighter? Because he was saying that. But I feel like that's a real.
I don't think so.
No, tiny detail.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just how I typically do it. I'm all about the best, worst to best, top to bottom. But I'm going to tell you this right now, Alex, because I don't know if you watched. Did you end up watching any WrestleMania?
Yeah, I did, bro.
Pretty good, right? It's pretty good,
dude. That main event for night 2 was fucking. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that.
Fun time.
Yeah.
I bring that up though because my purist ways have been flipped, my friend. All right, I'm going to tell you what has happened to me. I've had a conversion here, but I'm a big stickler on card placement and all that. But for seeing night 2 though of WrestleMania, and they open with the World Heavyweight Championship match, And that's just the thing, that they're practically all title fights on the show for the most part. That's just how their pay-per-views are because they have so many titles. But I was thinking about it, and like we always have this comparison and talk about when it's a big fight card, even at the very first fight, it's pretty empty, right? Like there's a handful of fans, and especially for the bigger shows. Like I'm curious to see what 300 looks like there for the very first fight. I guarantee it's probably still not gonna be full. Highly unlikely. That just doesn't happen. But like you look at that, and I know it's WrestleMania and it's a thing, a special thing, but fucking place is loaded to the gills out the gate, dude. I think now after seeing that and sitting and thinking about it, it's not a bad idea for UFC or any MMA promotion if you open with a title fight. I mean, if you want everybody there for the starting, if that's what your goal is, I'm saying that's a great way to get people there right away, dude. Don't do the best title fight, maybe, but do one. Hear me out.
Yeah, it's a good point, but also it's like I feel like only hardcore fans are there the first fight of the night.
Yeah.
Like the cats are finding, oh, UFC 300, that's a big card, let's go. Like I feel like those people are gonna be there halfway through the prelims. Like
yeah.
But then again, it's also a West Coast thing. Like it's
yeah,
like
that is true.
It's like a Vegas thing. Like they kind of stroll in, you got to get their pre-gaming in. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't want to buy the $13 beer or whatever. So I think there is that.
That's a good point. Yeah, but I mean, just in theory, I think like try it out once, man. I mean, if you want to get the place packed right away, that will help.
I think MMA is just different from fucking pro wrestling.
It's too different to do that.
I think so. Yeah. It's just different from any other sport because, like in football, you don't show up to the game
halftime.
At halftime. Like no, you get your fucking the first quarter, or baseball or whatever it is. But it's like it's fighting is just different. It's usually because like it's just how it is. Like you don't put good fights. You don't put good fights to open the card.
Yeah, I'm really like fascinated to see how that would look though. If somebody tried that just like once. I mean, I think it would have to be UFC to fully kind of gauge it, but that's really kind of got my wheels turning about like how effective that would be just for from a crowd perspective and that kind of.
I mean, we're gonna see I'm gonna see on Saturday how many people.
This is gonna be as close as
for Cody. Yeah, for fucking Cody Garbrandt versus Davis and Figueiredo, the first fight of the night. Like, well, I will do my video of the crowd to see how many people are in there.
Yeah, this will be kind of as close as a gauge as we can hope for. So that will be good. But all right, before we get to the movie club, Gunther asking what is a purist. So just somebody who's kind of a fan of the meritocracy and people earning their way to things. Like, for example, Bilal Muhammad deserves a title shot. I don't care if it'll be boring, but like those kind of things, or somebody who. It's more logical, I guess, in terms of the sporting aspects. Gunther, that's kind of what I meant by that and what I generally mean by that. But all right, let's get on into the Drelex Movie Club now, shall we? The UFC 300 special. I mean, it's nothing specifically special. It's just on UFC 300 Fight Week. So let me pull up our banners here real quick as I forgot to do that. But this week, who is it? Rio joined the club, so he caught up with Alex watching the swimmers with him. So that is Alex's movie that he watched, and I watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes this week as I'm going through the trilogy. And boy, oh boy, what a time it is! But we will start off. Let's start off with the swimmers, Alex. I will make you go first. Tell me what you think about this true story about the sisters here.
So, I mean, it's objectively a very good movie. It's a very good movie. It's a very heartwarming movie. It makes you feel good until the ending, obviously. But like, it's a very good movie. Very good cast. The two sisters were very believable. It was beautifully shot. It's objectively a very good movie. Like it's like a legit like 3 out. Like it's a really good movie. The thing about it is like it was slow. The middle of the movie was slow, and that really tanked it for me. I was like, all right, Like, let's go. Like, and it wasn't slow to the point. Like, it was kind of like setting things up, and it was kind of like chewing on the scenery and everything, but it just didn't work for me at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was very slow, and it just kind of like brought the movie down a few notches for me. But other than that, man, it's a very good movie. I've actually, after the movie, I went and like watched some YouTube videos on the girls and everything, kind of like, and then read some Wikipedia, read everything.
It's one of those that makes you want to dig deeper.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, objectively a very good movie. I'd say it's like a solid like 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think that was a good thing to highlight, though. Definitely that the middle was kind of just a little bit draggy. But in terms of like the visuals, yeah, this was a very like clean. I think that's the best way to describe it. Of course, like I just mean in terms of visual, not maybe some of the stuff, but everything was just very vibrant, very clear. A very clear movie. Like
beautifully shot. Beautifully shot.
Cinematography, yeah, was insane. And it definitely pulls at the heartstrings a bit. Insane story, just thinking about all that stuff that they went through to get there, and just a little eye-opening, in certain scenes and parts, but good time indeed. Rio says the ending credits of the swimmers was sad. Why did Sarah go back to Lesbos at the end? She was helping, right? She wanted to kind of fight for the cause and everything. So yeah, she because she didn't quite commit the same as her sister did. So Alvin, love to see you, buddy. I saw the swimmers when it first came out. I thought the struggles of the 18 refugees travel across the sea was powerful. I mean, dude, the scene with the what was it, the shoes? Ooh, and it just slowly, that was a really kind of wild one. Like, damn, it just puts things into perspective about kind of the shit that some people have to go through, man. It really does hurt the soul. Even cinematography was lovely indeed. Probably, the strongest part, even though I thought they had great chemistry, the actresses.
No, 1000%. The acting was phenomenal. Like, everything about the movie was good. It was very slow and like in the middle portion, and like that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, right. Way they captured the sea was breathtaking, says Alvin. Yes. Just the whole, of course, travel scene was wild. And Rio says, I mean, she would not have been arrested if she fully committed. Yeah, but it's kind of protesting, right? It's kind of what what she was doing in that standing her ground. As he agrees that the plot was slow. But
yeah, and of course, she got arrested at the end of the movie, but in 2023, Grease dropped all the charges.
So there you go, happy ending. But yeah, so it was a good one though. I did enjoy that. I was kind of pleasantly surprised when I did watch it last year, and cool story, like to follow with them and kind of look up things afterwards. So see if they continue the Olympic hunt. All right, so let's move along now, Alex, to part 2 of our monkey business, if you will. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, with the war between Caesar and Koba. All right, where do I start with this one? Good again. So we're at a point like, after watching the first one, Rise of the Planet Apes, you can tell objectively this is a good trilogy. Otherwise, I'm sure you wouldn't even made me watch past the first one. Because again, I would have been, if they stopped there, I think it would have been just fine. The fact there's more, awesome, exciting.
Yeah, this movie I saw in theater. I saw opening night in theaters, and it was back in the day where, dude, I watched this movie. I went on streaming sites and watched like the cam version of the movie like over and over and over. I loved it so much. Like, yeah, dude, I was huge fan. Yeah, huge fan.
That is fantastic. I was a pretty big fan though too. This was a good time. To start things right off, it gives it. We mentioned the pandemic earlier. It gives you flashbacks in present day, as they're recapping what's happened in the 10-year time span difference from the movie, the first one, to this one. Kind of how things have, the humans have been plagued a bit and died off for the most part. Civilization is slowly changing, all that stuff. I love me I really love me an apocalyptic city in just any genre. As you know, big Fallout guy, so kind of seeing what they did with San Francisco was pretty awesome. Just visually looked really great. Was really cool scenery. Um, I will say, like, I wasn't sure if this would come back into play at any point. I'm happy that it did a little bit, but we'll get this kind of disappointment out of the way. But the lack of I forget James Franco's character's name, but him not being in it kind of sucked. I thought, that was a little bit of a bummer for me because I would have liked to see a continuation of him and Caesar's story because it's really at this core of the movie is one of equality in a sense between the humans and the apes, and then even a little bit of a message on gun violence. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of there, which is totally fine. But like there's such a pivotal point and there's really no explanation other than I'm just assuming that the character died in that time span. I think that they did a fantastic job, great job of making Caesar like seem invincible at first. This fucking badass, no one fucks with him, which is kind of great. A great arc, a little bit going from the beginning to like there how he starts off as this little ape wearing clothes and stuff, which I did think was silly the first one, but like humanizing him, if you will, going back there, and then he's the serious leader who no one's fucking around with. Um, man, and it's just kind of funny, and this is a bit of a domino movie, right, Alex, where you look at kind of those situations where everyone's trying to be cool, man. Just keep it cool. We can all be friends. But there's this one fucking asshole. There's this one douchebag who ruins it all forever, for everybody and forever. But fucking Carver, that guy just ruins the whole thing for everybody, and sets it off to where pretty much Koba not trusting anything, which you get for those reasons. It all makes sense, but it's like there's got to be that one guy. There's got to be that one domino to fall and ruin it all. CGI in this movie, I thought was, I don't want to say like insanely better than the first one because the first one was pretty good, like I said, but there was a scene that I could pick out. I was like that. I could say looked a little bit interesting. CGI was phenomenal in this movie. Like Jesus Christ. This is like some of the best I've ever seen easily, dude. I mean, it better be when it's that, core focused on it, but
yeah, phenomenal.
Sheesh.
It's like you're literally watching fucking apes.
Dude, I mean, the Koba fight with Caesar. I mean, both of them really, they had their little spat in the dam, and then the final one. Fuck, dude, I got chills just saying that and thinking about it. Like, it was pretty crazy cool. And just that whole scenery of that building too was fucking epic. Really well done. I'll give it a chef's kiss even. It was awesome CGI work. There's really no other way around it. There were some little connections built in the movie that I thought were really great, like with Maurice and I forget the kid's name, but seeing kind of some of those things that I'm sure are going to get built onto or extended as the series goes on. I will say, Alex, like she wasn't one of the mains, but I just adore Kerry Russell. I think she's always been phenomenal, and it was great to see her in this one doing her thing. I've always liked Jason Clarke too. I think he's pretty solid. Funny to say this, but there were some moments I thought he looked like certain angles, he looked a lot like Sean Strickland in this movie. If you remember, there were some.
That's funny.
Yeah, there are some moments there. But overall, like, yeah, this had a lot of everything. And even at the end, like I said, with Malcolm, played by Jason Clarke, and Caesar, and they had their little moment. Like, it's actually pretty sad, man. I thought we had a chance line. I was like, oh God. I know. And then this asshole fucking Carver, like I said. It was great. This was really good. I think the thing that maybe holds it back from, you predicted a 9 on me. I'm giving it a solid 8, a very comfortable 8. I think I would have liked maybe, I'm fascinated more in maybe how Malcolm got there and kind of what his story is and kind of that side of things. Right. And, again, I would have liked to know or some better stuff about James Franco's character.
Funny enough, he was not asked to be in the movie. He didn't even know he had that. So they took footage from the first movie and just reused it basically,
That's what I
and
figured.
he had no idea that they used it until the movie was out.
Weird. I wonder
Yeah,
what kind of the idea was. I mean, I get not making it like about their story and stuff, which maybe is probably the idea there, but I feel like that's a pretty big thing to leave out. So,
yeah.
now that we're past that, it's whatever. But it was interesting to see that not be there. Um, Rio says, I've seen Planet of the Apes in the past. What I am surprised about is that Drake's first time watching this. Yeah, there's been a couple of a couple of those movies in our movie club that have come up.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
let me ask you. So, as for like hero and like villain, like where do you like? Not all time, obviously, but like
yeah,
where do
yeah.
you rank like Caesar as a good guy and Koba as like a villain?
I mean, boy, oh boy, Caesar, like I said, alpha is all fuck. He really alpha out, and I think it makes him more like awesome because like he's not just alpha, right? Because it was intelligence to get to that point, and how he did things in the first movie to kind of set up that position. So, and then his reasoning where he doesn't want to be a fighting type of person anyway. So he's awesome. I love him. I think he's great. Koba, again, just a fucker, just a fucker. Like, yeah, he was a phenomenal villain, and like when he throws Ash off the side of the wall or whatever,
Dude.
I was like, damn, I thought he was gonna make it dramatic. He just sends him, dude. Like, no care at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
so
he's a
good.
pretty big bastard.
Yeah. So and it's like, and then I feel like you have a better attachment because they were in the first movie, right? So like you saw their you saw Caesar as a baby. Now like he's this fucking
Yeah.
badass, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And I think what really highlights just like how how awful Koba was at the beginning, or not at the beginning. Well, yes, at the beginning, but at the end when he repeats the line before he dies, where he's like, "Ape doesn't kill ape." Like, fuck off, dude! Get out of here.
Yeah.
That was great.
He's
You are
just a
not ape.
yeah, yeah. He's just a manipulative fuck.
Yeah. That I mean. I didn't like. I totally didn't expect Caesar to like keep him or anything, but it was just like funny to see him try. Like that was good. That was a great
Yeah.
ending. So yeah, this was pretty awesome. Alvin says, "What does one call a character like Carver?"
A
I don't
dumb
know
fuck.
specifically. Yeah, just just
A conniving
yeah.
idiot.
It's funny too, because like even he wasn't as much of a douche as like Tom Felton's character in the first movie,
Yeah.
but
Well, no.
like he still was. I mean, overall worse for what he ended up, domino effect causing. But yeah, just kind of a little bit. I guess you could say bigoted in a way where he's just not even gonna trust the apes whatsoever. The actor that plays Carver is the same character, Rame from the 12 Monkeys sci-fi TV show. Not familiar with that one, but cool to know. And then Alvin also enjoyed Caesar's arc. Yeah, I mean, great development with him, and of course, as it should be and you would expect. So, all right. Well, I am excited to continue it, see how it's not going to wrap up though with the third one, right, Alex? There's a fourth movie coming out, isn't there? Am I tripping?
There's a fourth one, but I think it's kind of like it doesn't have to
Spin
deal.
off a little bit.
Yeah, like yeah, it's
Okay.
not. I don't think it deals with the
Caesar or
people.
anything.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
So what is this last one called? Is it War?
War for the Planet of the Apes.
War 4. And then what this new one's like War of, isn't it? It's like similar title, I thought.
War for the Planet of the Apes. This new one is
I'm just curious now.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Yeah, and like Andy Serkis isn't with
Listed.
yeah, like I think it's just it's I can't talk about it until you watch this
Right.
final movie.
Yeah. Let's
But
save
it's
that.
but it's yeah, I think it's like from what I know, it's like apes know of Caesar, so it's like kind of like
Okay.
yeah.
Rio asking, how will I watch the fourth movie? Well, by that time, it comes out next month. Alex and I can do that one same week. That'll be perfect.
Dude,
Sound and pound is
Civil
there.
War comes out on Friday, and I'm going
Ooh.
Thursday night for the midnight screening or the 10 p.m. screening.
Ooh. Should we Should we make that one? I do want to see that movie as well. Should we put War on hold till next week and do Civil War this
Com-
week?
completely up to you, because
All
I'm
right.
going no matter what. So
Okay. I think that works out then. We will do a Civil War because yeah, the more I've seen like the same just little trailer, and it's captivating me more every time I see it. So,
the early reactions have come out, and they said it's
all right, there we go. So Rio, you can join in there. We will be doing Civil War, the brand new movie coming out. Jesse Plemons in it, Kirsten Dunst. They're married too, aren't they? So that's always fun when you get the real life couples involved. But all right, there we have it to wrap up UFC 300. But Rio saying, "Will you go steal the screenplay so we can discuss the movie club?" No, we'll watch it when it comes out for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I'll catch up by then. We'll line it up perfectly. So, all right, there you go, you guys. But a wonderful way to wrap up the UFC 300 Sound and Pound. Boy, this week it's about to get even more wild, Alex. The chaos officially kicks off. I wish you the best of luck. Feel free to ask for help as needed while I'm around. But as for our shameless plugs, of course, you can follow us at @Draggoose_, at Alex Behunin, Twitter, Instagram, at MMA Mania on all the platforms. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, you guys. But I'm hinting and teasing at UFC 300 Media Day with every single fighter on the card. Alex will be there from 9 a.m. to about 5, probably a little bit later. It's an all-day event. I know you got some special articles in the can too, right? What are we waiting for?
yeah. So on top of my random tidbits, you're gonna get the best finishes from every single fighter on the card. It's a 3-parter. The first part's already out. Go check it out. It's the early prelims. Then it's going to be ESPN prelims, and then on Thursday, main card stops. So if you want to reminisce on the best knockouts from all the fighters, go check it out.
Perfect. Love to see it. Awesome idea. And yeah, as for me, really, it's just kind of staying up on the news and keeping up with all the madness and putting it into words for us on the site. So you can look for that. Just stay glued to the page. And then, like I said yesterday, I'm going to try and stream every day this week for UFC 300. So go to my personal channel. We can hang out at this time tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. Not Saturday, of course, but yeah. Well, I'll try and keep that going. And then I have some interviews being worked on and whatnot, but we'll be saving them till next week, of course, because this is the UFC 300 week. So on that note, I will see you guys tomorrow if you want to head on over there. And then for me, and Alex together, along with you guys, we'll be back next week to recap all the chaos of UFC 300. Tuesday, back to our normal time. We had to push back 30 minutes today because of the PFL, but we'll be back 12 p.m. Pacific time. Sound and pound, you guys. Stay safe, stay sane, enjoy the chaos. Peace.